Here we go. The live stream. Fun. Here we go. Here we go. I'm excited. This episode was a fun one. Tell me when you're in the chat. I want to hear your opinions on the episode. How was the episode? That one, so much happened. So much happened in that episode. So many fights. So the challenge was really intense. I think that might be one of my favorite episodes. I really liked that episode. The music in the fight, I was really trying to ramp up the intensity with the music. And there was like so many fights. I think okay, so we need to talk about that final fight because I was actually talking with Emma and Shannon. Emma, Shannon, and I were watching that fight, and we were like discussing because we actually all had different opinions on who was in the right, and it's actually an interesting debate with that, like that whole fight at the end, because it was like the whole debate against Brooke and stuff, and so on one hand we were talking about how like obviously Brooke has a right to fight for herself 100%. They're in the wrong for being like, oh yeah, you should like die for these other people. Kind of dumb to say that. However, they do have an interesting point in saying that every single time they tried to bring Brooke up, Brooke's defense was always oh, I just came here to save Trenton. I'm only here to save Trenton and the other people. And so then they kind of pointed out, well, you did not only are you beating them in challenges, but you now added to like the voting of Trenton, like she voted Trenton into the challenge. And so it's an interesting debate where it's like who I think both of them are kind of in the wrong in some ways. I think both of them have interesting points. I think that like Brooke definitely is in the right in the fact where she should not have to sacrifice herself for it. However, they also are in the right of talking about how like she constantly brings that up as her point, as like her defense, but it doesn't really hold up anymore. So it's like a really interesting debate where it's like you can actually see like you can see the what's it? You can see both sides with it. So but yeah, so I think that was an interesting debate that can be had with it. But yeah, I think that was a really fun episode. I really liked almost everyone in that episode. I think everyone was interesting in that episode. Like, oh, it was so good. I think that episode showed a lot of like the gameplay part. I think that one had a lot of like it was a lot of people like trying to strategize to like get an upper hand in like the game and get an upper hand. Yeah, I think that was a fun episode. Brooke is my favorite. So Allison, I hope you find another Lauren with another sword. Yeah, this is definitely like like argumentative wise, Allison definitely kind of like lost some points with going after Brooke. However, gameplay wise, Allison's definitely still the best player there. Like so the fact that she got Jackie on her side is really like Jackie they teamed up to get rid of Trenton and she successfully put Trenton under the bus and like had Trenton take the blame for everything that she did. So like even if you don't like Allison, once again, you can't deny that she's playing an amazing game. She really is. And then Abby was funny as per usual. Brooke, this is like where Brooke really shines. Brooke as a player, she really shined in this episode. Like with that competition, so good. Trenton really showed off his villainous side in this episode before dying. Yeah, Allison is good at manipulating. She really is. Allison did so good is so good as a player. And that's why I think Allison is one of those players where as you're watching the season, you guys will probably hate her, but I think after the season is over, you guys will like her because she's one of those players that like as you're watching it, she's like the villain. So you're like frustrated by watching her. You're like dang it, she's going after my favorites. But after the season is all said and done, I think you guys will like her because in retrospect, whenever it's not actually like going on, you're gonna be like, oh well, yeah, she was a really good player. She came to play and she started so much stuff. So I think she's one of those people that like after it's over, people will really like her, and I think she'll get a lot more popular after the season is finished because there won't be as much of that like anger towards her for getting rid of and going after people's favorites. But yeah, Allison is like such I think that's why Allison's my favorite player of the season because like I obviously it all happens so fast for me, so I don't have that time to really get a whole bunch of favorites and then be sad when they get voted off. I just am like constantly seeing it all happen. So I just pretty much get the finished product all at once. And that finished product, I saw Allison as the standout player. So I was like, oh well, Allison's my favorite because yeah. Um but yeah, Allison is I think probably my favorite player of the season. Um, yeah, the bigger characters are the last people left again, and I'm not sure what I think of that, TBH. Yeah, pretty much everyone left is like a big character. Like a lot of the early deaths were like people who weren't as major. Like, well, I wouldn't even say that. Well, like Alexis wasn't as major. Luke, he was pretty major. Shannon was pretty major. It's just that everyone's, I think, like a pretty big character this season. Brooke says this is the first episode I didn't flop. Uh, Anne is doing really good. I think Anne is doing really good too. I think she's kind of playing a very similar to game to Allison, but so where I don't think Anne has quite as much strategic game as Allison does, but where Allison excels in that way, she lacks in where Anne. I think where Anne does better than Allison is. I think Anne is like a much more under the radar player. Yet she still is very major, but she doesn't have as big of a target on her back like Allison does. Where while I think Allison is a little bit better of a player strategically, Anne kind of evens that out with her like threat management. And so I think that Anne is also a really good player of the season. Anne and Allison were such a good little duo. They were such a dangerous duo. Like if you notice, they pretty much pick targets and those people are gone. Like, see, episode one, they decide together, oh, we want Jackie gone? She's gone. They decide, oh, we want Joanna gone. Joanna gets voted in. The only reason Joanna wasn't gone is because Luke stepped in. And after Luke stepped in, they were like, okay, we want Luke gone. Then he's gone. Then the next episode, Shannon sacrificed herself. So there wasn't really anything they could do about that. The next episode, Alexis, he starts speaking up. They want him gone, and he's gone. Then this episode, Trenton, they throw him under the bus, and he's gone. Like, it's like, they just pretty much just throw everyone under the bus. And as soon as they do that, like they basically are the ones that have control over the group, which I think is really interesting. Anne and Allison have such a good duo dynamic. Yeah, for real, Anne and Allison are literally eating the whole season. Yeah, I think so too. Like you can hate them and you can be mad at them 100%, but you can't deny that they're playing a really, really, really strong game. And I love to see it. I love seeing like such dominant like strategic gameplay because I was like not really seeing that much in season one. Like this is the like there's so much gameplay and there's so many people who are so good in so many different ways. Like we see now this is Brooke's second challenge win. So we see that Brooke is really good in the physical like competition game. So like she's amazing in competitions where she lacks in social, and I wouldn't say she's awful strategically, but she's middle of the road strategically. Social, she's kind of awful. But then I talked about Allison and Anne. Annika isn't the greatest at competitions, but she's pretty good strategically and she's amazing socially. Like nobody wants Annika out. Like she's on no one's radar. She is like completely like blasting the game out of the water socially. Then you have Joanna, who I think is a lot of the same, where yeah, she's not the greatest at competitions. She's pretty okay strategically. Like she has good ideas, but socially no one's looking at her. She had someone sacrifice themselves for her. Who else is there? Who else is there? Why can't I think? Oh, Abby. Abby is maybe not the greatest player, but she definitely had her moments this episode. Like she had a lot of power this episode. But overall, Abby's just a fun character also. Like she's just one of the more fun ones to watch. And so like where she might not be as good of a player, she makes up an entertainment value. Then Jackie is kind of the same, where she makes up an entertainment value where she's not the best. But this episode she did show that she had some good ideas, and she definitely like the fact that she was able to get herself by this episode without a single vote after being returned, after being majorly blindsided, that's really good for her. Like she was able to come back and no one like they could have easily just been like, oh, let's just get rid of her again because she's back. It's not fair. Let's get rid of her. But she was able to fly under that radar despite being a big threat. And now she has an immunity idol too. Um, but like, yeah, I think everyone left is like a really good player in some way. So it's really interesting going forward, seeing when those all those good because they're so good in so many different ways. So it's fun, like all those different strategies. They dominated the game early on, but now they're all starting to get closer and closer. And this is whenever those strategies are going to start conflicting with each other, and we're going to see whose strategy is really the dominant strategy and whose strategy is going to be the one that really lets them win. So I think it's good. I love just like the social strategic aspects of all of this stuff and seeing what is the like just seeing how everything comes together. Yeah. Um Started you love the slow-mo effect when they started getting called up to vote. Yeah, I thought I let me know. I'm always learning with editing. How you guys did you guys like how I edited the voting? I tried to make it really intense with like the slow motion, like the hiding the votes. I tried to make it really climactic. Same with like the death challenge. I tried to make the death challenge really climactic, especially with the music. Um uh Someone said that Abby makes it too obvious that she was bouncing between groups. I agree somewhat, but at the same time, I disagree. Yes, she was very obviously doing it, but on both sides, she said to both groups, I'm going to go be a spy to the other side. So while she was doing it very blatantly, she did it under a veil where it wasn't obvious that she was backstabbing someone. She said to one side, oh, I'm going to go be a spy for you, then goes over there and says, oh, I'm going to be a spy for you. So I think she is a good player in that sense where like, she's able to do stuff so blatantly, but nobody calls her out on it. Same thing with the Brooke thing. Like she just blatantly goes after Brooke time and time again, and no one calls her out for it. Even Brooke tries to ally with Abby, despite Abby being so clear about how she does not like Brooke. So in that way, like Abby's just able to be so blatant, and no one bats an eye just because it's like expected of her, which is another really good thing towards her game. Um, but yeah. Yeah, I think that this episode was a really good one for showing gameplay. Lauren ate me up. Oh yeah, did you guys like the little Lauren segment? You guys get to learn that Lauren is the one who brought the golden flower. I loved Lauren's outfit during that little part. We loved the Lauren content. Good, good, good. What is the lamest episode yet? The lamest episode that we've got through, or the lamest episode that's coming up? Annika's giving me underdog vibes. Yeah, I see that. I see that. Annika really is an underdog. But I think she's a really good player. She's hiding herself under the radar. Like no one wants her out. Like no one has her. Uh, she's like Rosanna. Yeah, I think Annika is like Rosanna, but a little bit smarter because like um Annika is a floater. I would not say that Annika is a coaster at all. I disagree with that completely. Annika is definitely a floater strategically because she has her alliances and she's not afraid to like be cutthroat. It's just that she's just low on everyone's threat level. It's not that she's just sitting there and not letting anything happen. Like she's definitely like playing the game. Like she 100% is. She was part of the big Jackie vote. She was part of she was very big in all the decisions that she's made. And um, Annika could not do the puzzle. What puzzle? Story puzzle? Oh, well, yeah, but I don't really take into factor. I don't really take into play like helpfulness for like that type of stuff. I think that type of stuff is just like fun to see dynamics. But whenever I'm thinking about good players, I don't take into account what they do for like those group segments. I take into account like their aspect as players, like how they are strategically and that type of thing. Like helpfulness, I don't really take that into account when I'm considering who a good and bad player is for this. Uh, I stand Annika, yeah. Yeah, I think Annika is a little bit better of a player than Rosanna though, because they both are like under the radar, but where Rosanna was like always like Rosanna wasn't willing to be cutthroat. Annika is willing to be cutthroat. So I think that's where Annika exceeds. Like she's really nice and she plays like the nice card, but she's willing to stab someone in the back. Like she's yeah, so I think that makes her a good player. But that's also something that when you get to the later game, it could be not as good because people could see her as someone who's like, oh, why is she still here? Let's get rid of her. So you never know what could happen with her. Uh why did Abby bring back Jackie? Because I can easily see Brooke and Jackie teaming up to backstab Abby. That's a good point. However, so far, I think Abby has shown that that has been a good decision for her because even though Jackie didn't want to backstab Brooke, Jackie knew that Brooke was getting backstabbed but because of Abby, but Jackie didn't tell Brooke. Like Jackie still definitely was more loyal to Abby in that situation than she was to Brooke, and she wouldn't play the immunity for Brooke. But like she knew that Abby wanted to backstab Brooke, but she didn't say it. So I think that Abby did make a good decision at like as where we are right now. I think that it still was a good decision because Jackie definitely seems to be more loyal to Abby than she is Brooke. Uh, Jackie is stupid sobs. She should have backdoored Allison. It would have been so much better. Yeah, I don't agree. I honestly, if I was in that situation, I would have kept Trenton in the game. Like, yes, like Trenton was definitely like a snake, but he was a known snake. So I don't think it was a smart idea, honestly, for Jackie to get rid of Trenton because like there were so many people who were snakes in that group. It's smart for someone like Allison and Anne to get rid of Trenton because like they are like the snakes of the group. So it's smart for them to get rid of put that blame on Trenton and get rid of him so he can't defend himself anymore. And they can just easily be like, oh, that was Trenton and he's not there to defend themselves. But I don't think it was smart for everyone. I don't think it was smart for anyone except for Allison and Anne and I guess a kind of Annika to get even Annika. I don't really think it was a smart idea for her. I don't think it was smart for any of them to get rid of Trent because he was such a large target. Like they could have all hid behind him except for Anne and Allison because he was going after like Anne and Allison and showing them as to be snakes. So I don't think it was smart for all of them to get rid of Trenton because yeah, like they could have hid behind him. But yeah. Uh I think and I guess with Allison and Anne, it's kind of smart for Annika to get rid of Trent, but at the same time, I don't think it was because while I see it's good for her alliance with Anne and Allison, I don't think it's good for her individual game. Like it definitely helps her alliance, but individually, um, Annika, it did, yeah, individually, Annika, I think was better to get rid of Trenton. Anna's playing a horrible game. She doesn't know how to do anything in challenges. She can't do crap, and then she's being rude as if she can back herself up. Complete disagree. I think Anna's playing one of the best games. She's like being such a snake, but no one's going after her, and she's hiding behind Allison. And she's also, if we're talking about helpfulness, she finds stuff all the time. So I completely disagree. I think Anna's playing one of the best games. But yeah, she isn't good at challenges though. That is true, and that is Anne's. Um, what's Anne? Her low point. She's not good at competitions at all. But other than that, I think she's an amazing player. Like strategic wise, Anne is probably one of. I think Anne's probably the best strategic wise, other than Allison. But yeah. Anne tanked in episode one. Yeah, episode one was kind of bad for Anne. She didn't do very good in episode one, but ever since episode one, she's like not been on anyone's radar. Like no one's been wanting to vote out Anne, despite Abby having a power. They could have easily just sent Anne in. Abby never used it, and so yeah. Uh, in episode one, there was a mention of the Grim Reaper. Is he going to make some type of appearance? I don't know. Trenton calling Jackie a snake. Yeah, I don't understand Trenton's whole thing with calling other people snakes because he was definitely like he was one of the most snake people in the group. So I didn't really understand his whole thing about being like, "Oh, they're a snake, they gotta go." Will the survey play a role down the line? No, the survey doesn't play any other role. It was just to like expose people's loyalties and that type of thing, which given the people that got voted in, it didn't really do because they were both pretty open book with who they were going after anyways. So I need to put up the popularity poll in the Discord. Let me go do that right now, actually. Uh, Let me go put the poll. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is the poll? Popularity poll. There it is. Okay. Episode 5, episode 6 popularity poll. Everyone, episode 6 popularity poll. Remember, you can vote multiple people. Okay. There, I need to add the reactions now. Jackie, Trenton, Shannon, Allison, Brooke, Abby, Paris, Anne, Alexis, Luke, Annika, Joanna. There we go. The popularity poll is now up. Let's see. I'm interested to see who's going to win this one. Because this one had a lot of major characters and a lot of like, yeah, a lot of people really like shined in this episode. It's interesting that Luke has like no votes because everyone like in the Discord is obsessed with Luke, but he has like almost no votes so far. Oh, never mind. He's starting to get more votes now. My personal favorites of the season are Abby and Allison. I think Abby and Allison are my favorites. Uh... yeah, I'm interested to see who's gonna win this. Anyways. Do I think Lauren would have still been the villain if there wasn't a break in season 1? Absolutely. I mean, Lauren would have been the villain no matter what happened. This cast makes me want to die. I keep having to switch up. Yeah, this cast is like that's why I just like almost all of them because like there's no it's too exhausting to like be team one person because if you're team one person, at some point you pretty much hate everyone else because everyone in this cast is playing for themselves. They'll cut anyone's throat pretty much. So I just like all of them because if you're liking only one of them, you're gonna hate everyone else because they just go after it's just they all always are after each other. I went from Jackie to Brooke to Anne to Allison to Abby to Paris to Jackie. I'm interested to see who you guys think is gonna win. Oh, there's a lot going on in the chat. Oh yeah, a fun fact about the challenge. So there was with the challenge with Trenton and Brooke, there was a little bit of like a debate on who was gonna die because Trenton, you saw his balloon got really big and wouldn't pop. And so we were wondering if that there was like and Brooks didn't have to blow up as far before it popped. So we were like, oh crap, what are we gonna do? Because that kind of like if Trenton just got a worse balloon, that would be unfair. But it ultimately came down to the fact that Trenton did the survey part completely wrong because it says on the survey you have to answer truthfully or you will die. Trenton did not answer really truthfully. He just put Paris, Paris, Paris. So either way, even if he would have popped the balloon first, he was disqualified and he would have died anyways because yeah, he did it wrong. And we had a part in the episode of that talking about that, but I took it out so it would be more intense when they were blowing up the balloon. But yeah, either way, Trenton was dying because he got disqualified pretty much from doing the wrong thing at the survey portion. So yeah. I don't understand why Allison and Jackie aren't working together. They are the only two with more knowledge. It would be best for them to work together considering they're both all-stars. Yeah, I wish Allison and Jackie would have voted. They're kind of working with each other now. They kind of work together to throw Trent under the bus. And I think they at this point they are not enemies anymore. They were like enemies before. They're not enemies now. I would say like they definitely didn't vote together this episode, but um, for suspense, I didn't include everything, but Allison was definitely like team like let's not get rid of Jackie. She was like kind of defending Jackie. She's like I don't think Jackie should go. I don't think Jackie should go right now because I think Allison does see the benefit to keeping Jackie in the game, and I think Jackie kind of sees the benefit of keeping Allison in the game too because they both are really good like pretty dominant players, and so yeah, I think they are kind of not working together, but they're definitely like not after each other anymore. Luke. Yeah, Luke. I will work on that physics homework. But yeah. um anyways, I think I'm going to go with the stream. I'm going to go. If you want to talk, go to the Discord. Yes. Goodbye. So yeah. See ya. Goodbye everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Um, Goodbye.